Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. Welcome back, or welcome to the Domtrap. I am your host, your editor, director, creator, producer, executive producer, your music guy, and most importantly, I'm your first, your last, and your everything. I go by the name of Dom. Some of you may know me as Dominique, some of you may know me as Damo, but I am here with a new episode of the Domtrap. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So glad to see you, so glad to be back. So glad to have movies to talk about. There's a lot of stuff on the horizon, and I've seen a lot already that I still need to talk about and catch up with. So, yeah, hopefully I can get more episodes out to you guys soon. Shout out to the new listeners. Shout out to the OGs. Appreciate each and every last one of you. Shout out to Lex, Judd, Greg, Hiley, golly, just everybody that's been showing the podcast love. Chris, Ricky, Colin, if you're listening, appreciate each and every last one of you. Shout out to the guys over at RJCXD. Love you guys, Ray, Chris, all of you guys. Hope every single last one of you are doing well. But yeah, there's been a lot of stuff that's been released, a lot of stuff in the news. We've gotten a lot of stuff as far as like film and like television and video games and stuff. And it's a lot. I don't want to say that it's overload because I don't feel like we should ever be getting more than enough. As far as content goes, I think there's just always something that can be released, and I'm never mad at that. For example, there's a new Transformers out this week, so be looking forward to my review on that. Super excited about that movie, by the way. I've been looking for a Transformers movie to take place on Cybertron for the longest amount of time, so the fact that we get it in this form factor it's okay with me. I'm looking forward to it. I want to see how the performance is going to be overall. I am really curious, excited, all that good stuff about how this is going to go. I believe there's also a new Halle Berry movie that's out called Never Let Go, where she has kids. And we know how Halle Berry movies go when she has kids, so I'm looking forward to seeing this one at least. I do see that Lionsgate is distributing it, and Lionsgate has had a bit of an odd year. They're also distributing Megalopolis, which comes out next week, which is the new Francis Ford Coppola movie. Which this movie is like, I don't know. I'm excited to see it, but at the same time, I'm just ultra curious to see how this is gonna go. So, yeah, a lot of stuff on the way. As far as film goes, I still want to watch Shogun. I have to check that out. I saw that it won 18 Emmys. I still need to watch the newest season of The Bear. I've been watching Industry, which I think I want to do a separate episode entirely once this newest season wraps up because I'm caught up now. At the time of this recording, season 3, episode 6 is out. So, yeah, I think there are 2 more episodes of this season, and then that should be done. And I do want to just do a separate Domtrap review of Industry because that show has me in such a headlock. It's so good. It's a very interesting type of show as well, and it fills the void that Succession left after that ending. I'd also want to do a Succession episode too. Same with Barry. A lot of stuff I want to do. We'll figure it out. Also, if you haven't, go subscribe to my Twitch channel. It's at the Downtrap, I think it is. Well, no, it's Damo Gary, sorry. On Twitch. Go check me out there. I've been playing Black Myth Wukong recently. There's a few other things I do want to play soon. I want to get into more Warhammer 40k. I've been playing through that a little bit. I do want to also get into the new Marvel vs. Capcom collection that's out. I still need to get it, by the way. I got a few people that have been asking me for smoke, so you know where there's smoke, there's fire, i.e. me. But yeah, there we go. But today, I do have 3 reviews. I think I like this structure of these reviews. I like what we're doing here. I like what we've kind of established as far as these episodes go. I just want to be more consistent, and I think that that's something that will just come with time. So just bear with me as I'm still figuring things out, figuring where I want to take this whole podcast and brand as like an entire direction. So yeah, for those of you that have been sticking with me and rocking out and giving feedback and telling me about how much you enjoy the episodes, I appreciate it. You know, I appreciate each and every last one of you and all. And also Jazz. Special shout out to Jazz, by the way. Without further ado, I'll get to the reviews. So, one of the biggest films that has come out as of lately is a Warner Brothers movie. I'm not the biggest fan of Warner Brothers right now. They're greedy. They're such a greedy company, but their output is good sometimes, and that happens to be the case with this film, and that is Beetlejuice. Now, with Beetlejuice as a franchise, I remember being a kid and watching some of the episodes of the animated series, but I never watched the entirety of the movie. Of course, I've seen the famous Deo sequence at the dinner table, the scene where she's floating. But yeah, I've never seen it in its entirety. I've seen the sandworm, but never saw the entire film in its entirety. So I did decide to do myself a favor and watch the original before I watched Beetlejuice. And I liked the movie. If I gave the first Beetlejuice a score, some of you that are nostalgic with me y'all might hate me for this, but it's a 6 out of 10 film. I'm sorry. It's a 6 out of 10. I get why the nostalgia factor is bringing that film to like the top of people's ratings, but it's it's a fine movie. It's a fine movie overall. As far as the performances go, the CG, just the way things go, Michael Keaton overall, it's a fine movie. This new movie is a bit of an odd one because we all know that legacy sequels aren't always the best when they're like being released 20 something years later. But this film, I feel like, is overdue in more ways than none. I feel like the franchise overall has just been stagnant, but has continued to have some form of popularity because of how nostalgic the original movie is. So going into this one, I was a little bit curious about how it would go. I was happy to see that Michael Keaton had signed on to do this one. I love Michael Keaton, don't get me wrong. I loved him in The Founder, I loved him in Birdman, I loved him even in the Flash movie. Granted, I wasn't the biggest fan of that film, but it was good to see Michael Keaton be in that role again and just kind of be happy to be there. And that happens to be the case with this film as well. Like, he's just so happy to reprise his role as Beetlejuice because I feel like Michael Keaton knows what his role has done for film overall and what it means to the lives of many others. But he's just clearly having a great time, and you can't be mad at that at all. Him probably spending hours getting ready to do like makeup and just probably even just practicing for the role, even though it's probably just him, but just being freaky and weird. He's just clearly having a great time. He's happy to be here. He seems to be having fun working with Tim Burton again, which I'll get into that a little bit later. But I'm just happy for him. As far as the rest of the cast goes, I'm happy for them as well. Like, I'm happy that Winona Ryder is having, a resurgence still. I mean, with Stranger Things as well as this role. People love Winona Ryder, and I love her too, don't get me wrong. But she's also having a great time here. She knows what's required from her for this role, and she does a great job at filling that hole that if she wasn't in this movie, to be honest, it would not work. This film would not work without Winona Ryder, don't get me wrong, but she's having a great time here. Justin Theroux is also having a good time, but I'd much rather watch him in The Leftovers on HBO. If y'all haven't seen The Leftovers yet, if you want to see a drama sci-fi show that's also a little bit of a horror, watch The Leftovers. He's phenomenal in it. I believe there are 3 seasons of that show, by the way, too. But in this role, he plays a scumbag, pretty much. And you can kind of tell just by his hairstyle. But he's a fun scumbag. Like, you kind of want to like this dude, but you just know that he's up to no good. And, of course, that gets figured out. Catherine O'Hara is one of my favorite parts of this movie because you can just tell that she's having a great time as well. From the original Beetlejuice, she was great in. I'm blanking on the name of the movie right now. But she was also in Schitt's Creek. And, Home Alone. Why was I forgetting that? Home Alone, she was just great at as well. She does a great job at being a little bit of a lovable idiot, but she's not an idiot all the time, which is kind of confusing to me because it's like, I can kind of tell which scenes are going to be played for laughs with her character, but she always is just having a great time. and she's so shady in this movie too. Like, there's some moments where a character will do something and then she'll kind of look towards the camera or look at another character and make a face. And it's like, yeah, I know that face. I'm feeling the same way. I love that. Uh, but yes, she does great. Um, Jenna Ortega in this film is exactly what I was expecting. If you would have told me that Jenna Ortega would be in Beetlejuice 2, this is exactly what I would have gotten. So it's a very middle of the road performance. I don't feel like much was required from her that she hasn't done already. For example, what she's done in X and what she's done in Wednesday, they're very similar roles to a certain point. But overall, her performance is serviceable. She's there. It makes sense. I know during the press runs they've been saying that they've been waiting for her to be born to make this movie, and I get it. I mean, it's a big selling factor for this movie because people love Jenna Ortega. So hey, there's that. Monica Bellucci is also in this film, and she is the girlfriend of the director Tim Burton. And she's good. She's serviceable. Her character is very much like a looming presence. You're always trying to figure out what's going to be next, what could happen next, what she's up to, what she's going to be doing, and it's fun how they play it. It's almost like the TV show that has the background character that becomes a main character later, but that's kind of what her role gives in this film. But she is just Monica Bellucci wearing a black wedding dress, going around and causing destruction in the underworld, and I wouldn't expect much more from that. But Tim Burton brings his signature kind of freakiness to this film. We all know that he's a little bit of a freakazoid at heart anyway, but with this movie, he gets to actually play with some things. He tries a few new things, but they're not as fun as the new things that were in the original film. As far as things being grotesque, I do feel like things could have been turned up a notch, but I get why they weren't. I mean, I'm pretty sure they were just trying to sell a movie when, like I said, with it being WB and greed being a big part of this film. Yeah, I see exactly why things were as tame as they were. But yeah, it's freaky. There are funny moments. There are moments that just make you say, ew. Moments that make you say, why am I looking at this? Or what is happening? Or why did he decide to do that? But it all makes for the film to be a Beetlejuice film. There's also there are like 3 different storylines in this film, and each one, I mean, the pacing overall is okay because it takes place over like a span of 3 days. So I get it. I get why it is the way it is, but we just don't have enough time to like get to know these characters or get to love these characters or root for anyone. So it's just like watching a regular episode of TV. Like, it's just characters doing things, and it's freaky, and there's a beginning, middle, and end. So there's that. The stakes in this movie are super low, which is a good thing and also a bad thing. A good thing because it's low risk. You can just go into this movie, watch it, and you've been entertained for an hour and 45 minutes. But my thing is, what are they trying to do with Beetlejuice as a franchise in the future? Are they trying to set up a BCU, a Beetlejuice cinematic universe? Like, what is going on here? I want to know what's going on over at the desk of Warner Brothers. And before I give my score, I do want to say that there was a point in the second act where things just kind of clicked, and I was like, oh, I know exactly how this film is going to end, and I was right for the most part. Granted, there were a few exceptions, and another standout for me is Willem Dafoe's character. He plays a cop, an undead cop in the underworld, and he's just happy to be there in anything that he does, and I'm so happy about it. I love Willem Dafoe. I love to see him having fun. I love just seeing him play freaky weirdos and just do weird things. I loved him in Poor Things, The Lighthouse, even the Northman. But I'm looking forward to seeing Willem Dafoe in Nosferatu as well. I just love him. Even as Green Goblin, he's just fantastic. But yeah, overall, I do want to go back. I don't like doing mulligans in my reviews, but I just realized that I gave the original Beetlejuice I gave it a 6 out of 10. I'm just going to go ahead and bump that up to a 7 out of 10, and I'm going to rate Beetlejuice the exact same score. So Beetlejuice is a 7 out of 10 film. If you liked the original Beetlejuice, you're going to know exactly what you're getting here. if you didn't like the original Beetlejuice, you can kind of steer clear. If you're just curious to see what Beetlejuice has to offer, go and check it out. It won't do you any harm. Go and support your local movie theater. Lex. Anyway, on to this next review I want to give. This film, I saw the trailer for it randomly one day. I went to go see another film, but I got vibes from different movies. This film, by the way, goes by the name of Dee Dee. And Dee Dee is a coming-of-age story about a 13-year-old Taiwanese American boy in the early 2000s trying to figure out what he is and what his purpose in life is. And it's so odd because when you hear coming-of-age story, you think of something from like the 90s or the 80s or even the 70s at some points, but we're to the point now where coming of age stories are in the 2000s, and that's making me feel ancient to say the least. Like, even in the film, there's like story beats that are kind of told on like YouTube, but it's like the old view of YouTube. And I remember being a young child and going on YouTube and watching was Afro Ninja, the black guy with the nunchucks that does the backflip. I remember seeing stuff like that and just having a great time. So this movie was nostalgic for me, which is, like I said, it's just crazy. It makes me feel super old. But the guy's name is Chris Wang, and he's just trying to figure out who he wants to be in the world with the pressure of his mother, who wants him to be, of course, I don't want to say a stereotypical straight A student, but pretty much that. She wants him to excel at everything in life as a mother would want to do for their child. But he just has so many outside factors that are influencing him in so many different ways, whether it be with school or things outside of school, like recreational activities. He likes to skateboard, or he likes to try to skateboard. He likes hanging out with his grandmother, and even the pressure that he gets from her, as well as his sister who is going off to college. And it's just a lot for him. There's a lot going on, and he just cannot have a moment to think about what he wants because something is always happening. And this movie really reminds me of mid-90s. And I don't know if anyone's seen mid-90s, but it was directed by Jonah Hill, which has a similar story. Just a guy who likes to skateboard that's being influenced by all these different life elements and just trying to figure out who they are, who they want to be, which way in life they would like to go, how to handle family trauma. That's another big thing in both of these films that they have in common. And it's a great tale of just seeing these teenagers or young children struggle internally with, the overall pressures of life. And that's just something that never changes. There's always gonna be pressure from life. I didn't mean to get deep, but back to the story. Like, it's just about him having fun, trying to learn people, trying to learn who he just wants to be. It's obvious that he's trying to escape. It feels like there's an animal inside of him that wants to escape, but that animal doesn't even know what it is. It doesn't know if it's a bird that wants to fly. It doesn't know if it's a cheetah that wants to run. He just does not quite know who he is, and he's just trying to navigate being in middle school and going into high school. But he meets a girl. Of course, there's always a girl. And there's an incident that happens that kind of changes everything. And it's just like his whole world that he thought was going one way goes in an entirely different direction. And yeah, he just has a hard time struggling. His mother is trying to figure out who he is as well. And she's just trying to say, hey, son, I love you. I want the best for you. Let's work together and figure this out. But at the same time, he sees it as her attacking him because she wants him to do better, because she wants him to be someone. So there are moments where they just kind of clash, and it's just so good to see. Joan Chen is the actress that plays the mother, and she does a phenomenal job in her role of being a somewhat overbearing mother, but also just overly caring at times. And also, she misunderstands him because, of course, he's growing up in a totally different time that she grew up in. So she just has a hard time just meeting him on a level where they can just both communicate. Whenever they do speak, it always leads to some kind of argument. He just tries to do his best. She tries to do her best with what she has. there's something going on with his dad that is, of course, a big element in the film. He struggles with that without talking to his mother about it. It's just a lot of trauma there. The grandmother is also there, and she has expectations for not only Dee Dee, but his sister and his mother. And it's just a great film overall. And with that being said, I'm going to give this film an 8 out of 10. If you can catch Dee Dee on some kind of streaming platform, or if it's on digital somewhere, I highly recommend it. Especially if you enjoy coming-of-age films like mid-90s, like Edge of 17, even Ferris Bueller to a certain aspect. Like, it's just a great coming-of-age film. And it also just kind of brings you into a culture that's not really yours, unless you are Taiwanese American. But if not, it kind of shows you how these expectations can lead to stress. Granted, I think that's something that happens in most cultures anyway, but yeah, Dee Dee's an 8 out of 10 film. So go and see it. I hope you enjoy it. The last flick that I'm going to talk about today is one that I saw the trailer for randomly. And I remember enjoying the trailer, but at the end, I saw that I think it was listed with, it didn't say by cinematographer, this person, but it was like director of photography. And it was Giovanni Ribisi, and I've known him for years. I mean, he was in Saving Private Ryan, for goodness sakes. But I was curious as to why he was marketed as the cinematographer in this way. But I was also curious to see what he could do behind the camera. But so I was looking forward to this one, to say the least. This film, by the way, is called Strange Darling. And it's basically about a one-night stand that goes entirely... It just goes bad. The one-night stand just goes bad. And it stars Kyle Gallner and... I'm blanking on her name right now, but I want to say that it is Willa something. I'm blanking. I have to check it out in a sec. But Kyle Gallner, I know from the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. He was also in Scream 5, and he was also in Jennifer's Body. I remember him from that as well with Megan Fox, and I do want to do a rewatch of that, especially with spooky season amongst us. So, yeah, I know him from these flicks. So seeing him in more of a leading role was kind of exciting to see. He's just having fun here, to be honest with you. He's just so happy to be here. So I don't know what the budget for this film is, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty low budget. Willa Fitzgerald, that's her name. God, I was just blanking on her name. But yes, Willa Fitzgerald plays pretty much opposite of Kyle Gallner. She's the lady in the in the one night stand, and his character's name is the Demon, and I believe that her name is just the Woman. And he's basically trying to kill her, and we don't know why, but she is scared for her life. And he is just hell-bent on finding out why she did what she did, and she's just hell-bent on getting away from him. So the film starts out not at the beginning of the story. So we figure out the story as we go. The story is told in a non-chronological order. So I believe that the first chapter of the film is chapter 3, and we just kind of bounce back and forth, but at the end it does all wrap up. We do finally get to the last chapter, which I think is chapter 6, and then there's also an epilogue. But I believe that the film at the beginning said that it was based on true events. I don't know how true that is. I think that might just be to, I don't know, maybe just get us in the glasses, the rose-tinted glasses that they want to tell the story with. But I can definitely see this being a true story. I can see this being a real thing. But Kyle Gallner's character, he is just, he's visceral at times. He's just like angry, and he's just driving fast, and he's shooting his gun, and it's like, man, what did she do to make you that mad? It's the Boondocks meme, you know? And she's just terrified. You see it in every scene that she's in, just about how scared she is that she just has to get away from this guy, because he just wants her dead. and she's just trying her best to live. And as we figure out things throughout the story, it's like, oh, I get it. And then eventually there's a time where you have to root for someone, and it's like, oh man, do I root for this person? Do I want it to go this way or that way? It really plays on your morality. But oh, it's such a good watch. It's such a good watch. It's very involving. There are supporting cast members as well. They do what they can with what they have, and I think they do a great job at it. Like, there's an elderly couple that the woman runs into later, and they do a great job at playing the oblivious elderly couple. You know, when she meets them, she's just in a bad space, and they're like, hey, we have to help this woman. Let's do what we can to stop what we're doing and help this woman. And they do. And it turns out to not be exactly what they were expecting. And the story progresses in a way that I kind of saw coming, but I didn't really want to see coming, if that makes any sense. Yeah, Kyle Gardner's character, he's just on a mission, and he just wants this chick dead. And it's just so fun seeing this game of cat and mouse. It's like Tom and Jerry, but not, and kind of freaky at the same time. If you like movies like Pulp Fiction and Kill Bill, which is one of my favorite films, I think you'll like this one. It has a lot of shades from those two films in here. Not even with the story not being told in order, but just also with the sequence of things, and some of the performances are very Tarantino-ish, if I could say. But if you like those, you'll have a great time. I do recommend going into this film knowing what I've told you, and just not even seeing the trailer. Just go into the film and just watch it. And I think you're in for a great time. Honestly and truly, I think you'll have a great time with Strange Darling if you just watch it without knowing much at all. And for that reason, I give this film an 8 out of 10. Strange Darling is an 8 out of 10. And yeah, I almost want to say, yeah, it's an 8 out of 10 with the chef's kiss. So, mwah, to Strange Darling. It's a really good flick. Go and check it out. And with that being said, I think I'm going to wrap it up here for this episode. I do want to come back sooner, so I won't be gone too long. I have some things in the works. I have things that I planned, that I want to get planned, so be on the lookout for those things. Do expect another episode soon, within the next week or so, maybe even before then, who knows. But with that being said, I hope that each and every last one of you have enjoyed the episode. I hope that you enjoyed these reviews. I hope that you see some of these films in theaters. Support your local theaters. I hope that your families are doing well. I hope that you're doing well mentally. I know that the seasons are changing, the leaves are falling. To those of you that go through seasonal depression, I am with you, and I hope the best for you. We got this. We'll get through this. Things are going to be all right. We're going to come out fine. I don't even know, like I'm saying it like it's the end of the year or something, but yes. Yeah, stay strong, everyone. Whatever you're going through, you're going to get through it, and you're going to be great on the other side of it. Yeah, once again, thank you for checking out the podcast and leaving feedback and just letting me know that you're still checking for me and that you're still here for me. I really do appreciate it. Really hoping to get some more things out to you all soon. Shout out to Lynn, by the way. Hopefully we can get our episode out soon too. Shout out to Lex for motivating me as well, as far as, getting me back into the content space mentally. Yeah, thank you all. I hope that you enjoyed the episode, and I will see you all later. Peace.